This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
.45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The USA ambassador says Lankan economy will bounce back. The Health Ministry decides the new test kit manufactured by the University of Peradeniya to be in practice in Sri Lanka. The central bank decides to halt importation of selected non-essential goods with immediate effect. The Broadcasters Guild of Sri Lanka vehemently condemns the YouTube program over the topic of copyright privileges. The Department of Inland Revenue says grace period for paying income tax extended. The UNICEF reveals school closures have led to alarming inequities in learning opportunities for children. The health minister says that patients dependent on medical oxygen have significantly declined. Foreign news, the China urged Taliban rulers to keep their promises. Local news in detail. USA Ambassador Elena Biteplis stresses Lankan economy will bounce back. She says Sri Lanka needs an outward-focused national economic vision, which was distorted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Sri Lanka does have a history of economic resilience, and it has got a lot of innovation. USA Ambassador commended that there is a big-scale innovation in the apparel sector from which Sri Lankan business owners have really made a brand for themselves globally. She was certain that there is a real foundation to build on there. Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, even during the pandemic, have shown that they can fill niches. Commenting on the U.S.-Sri Lankan trade relations, outgoing Ambassador Teplis, speaking to local media, also said the U.S. is always looking for opportunities to make that relationship stronger and to make it a win-win situation for both states. A new test kit has been manufactured by a research team from the University of Peradeniya. Health Ministry says it is to be used in Sri Lanka as an interim testing method to the rapid antigen test to detect people infected with COVID-19 virus. The research team said the new test kit will provide faster results than the RAT or PCR tests and costs as low as 1,500 rupees. The product has been approved by the National Medicines Regulatory already. Peradeniya University said it will be registered shortly and is set to obtain the patent both locally and internationally. The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to impose a 100% cash margin deposit requirement against the importation of selected non-essential, non-urgent goods with immediate effect. The decision to impose the cash margin deposit requirement is expected to support the ongoing efforts to preserve the stability of the exchange rate and foreign currency market liquidity. The non-essential goods on which import limitations have been enforced include mobile telephones and fixed telephones, fans, TVs, refrigerators, washing machines, digital cameras, hair clips, heaters, lamps, ovens, clothing and accessories. The Broadcasters Guild of Sri Lanka, issuing a media release, says it vehemently condemns the YouTube program over the topic of copyright privileges of the song rights in Sri Lanka. The Broadcasters Guild requests the Minister of Mass Media, Dallas Alahaperuma, to pay his special attention in this regard and especially to the content in the program. According to the Guild, the YouTuber has captioned this program against the Constitution and the democracy of the country by misusing the right of expression. The Broadcasters Guild also said it's also focusing on some of the disruptive program undertakings to bankrupt the initiative that is being taken to offer financial benefits for the songwriters in Sri Lanka. The Guild said the disruptive program is led by a private company which is interested in the field. The Commissioner General of the Department of Inland Revenue, HNW Heenbanda, says grace period for paying income tax is extended till the 31st of March 2022. Accordingly, they are now able to pay their income tax without penalty. The department had taken these measures as many of the tax-paying establishments had to face numerous difficulties due to the corona pandemic. For more details, clientele can call the hotline 1944, the Commissioner General added. The UNICEF says school closures have led to alarming inequities in learning opportunities for children in South Asia, including Sri Lanka. A research conducted by the UNICEF reveals, despite significant efforts by the governments and partners to expand remote learning, low connectivity and access to digital devices have severely hampered efforts to roll out remote learning. The research had been conducted in Sri Lanka, India, the Maldives and Pakistan. UNICEF Regional Director for South Asia, George Laria Ajay, said 69% of parents of primary school children in Sri Lanka had reported that their children were learning less or a lot less despite significant efforts from the governments. She said the school closures in South Asia have forced hundreds of millions of children and their teachers to transition to remote learning in a region with low connectivity and device affordability. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
The Health Minister Keheria Rambukwala says that patients dependent on medical oxygen have significantly declined in comparison with the past few weeks. He added it was over 140 tons of medical oxygen required per one day when COVID-19 was at its peak. Health Minister made these remarks at a Zoom meeting held with the COVID management team in Kundasali, Kandy last evening. He said daily medical oxygen requirement per day in Sri Lanka was 80 tons before the pandemic. However, daily oxygen requirement significantly increased due to the pandemic rapidly. He added, with the speedy increase of medical oxygen demand, the government take measures to import oxygen from India to meet the needs. Health Minister also disclosed yesterday that vaccination drive for the school children will commence soon. He said that students from grades 7 to 13 will be vaccinated under the first phase. Schools will reopen after the vaccination of students is complete, Minister added. He says that the government is to vaccinate nearly 2 million school children promptly. The decision on lifting the quarantine curfew is to be taken today. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will meet the COVID task force today for its weekly discussion. The decision in lifting the quarantine curfew will be taken at the meeting. The curfew is scheduled to be lifted at 4 a.m. on 13th Monday. Dr. Priyanka Dunasinghe says undergraduates in the local universities have learned a lot about self-learning practices and also improved their computer literacy. Dr. Priyanka Dunasinghe is a senior lecturer of the Department of Sinhala and Mass Communication in the University of Sri Jawadanapura. He added that all students, including school students in Sri Lanka, should learn to utilize all educational sources to continue with the education. The Department of Examination has planned to hold GCE A-level examination this November, and he insists the students to dedicate for their education in the critical juncture and face the future positively. That concludes local news.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidamahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to impose a 100% cash margin deposit requirement against the importation of selected non-essential, non-urgent goods with immediate effect. The decision to impose the cash margin deposit requirement is expected to support the ongoing efforts to preserve the stability of the exchange rate and foreign currency market liquidity. And that was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watch Live.
Commercial rubber growers claim Sri Lanka's rubber plantations are battered by a fast-spreading leaf disease, Pester Lotiopsis, and the sector could be nearing the point of no return. The growers are requesting for urgent government intervention to address the pressing issue. The syndrome is equal as the coffee rust blight, which wiped out Sri Lanka's coffee plantations in the late 1800s. Commercial rubber growers say it need to be immediately addressed since output has declined by nearly a third already in some rubber plantations and the industry is fast becoming unviable. Regional plantation companies who are involved in commercial scale cultivation of rubber also voiced the critical need to halt the spread of Pester Lotiopsis. And that came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
The headlines: China urged Taliban rulers to keep their promises. The Cuban begins to vaccinate children as young as 2 years old in a bid to get kids back into classrooms. UK threatens to send migrant boats back to France. World News in detail. The Chinese foreign minister has urged Afghanistan's Taliban rulers to keep their promises in order to gain international recognition. Minister Wang Yi made the comment at the first virtual meeting of foreign ministers from Afghanistan's neighboring countries since the Taliban takeover. Referring to the announcement of a Taliban government, Wang said broad inclusiveness and resolute crackdown on terrorism are the most important points. Wang announced that Beijing has decided to provide Afghanistan with nearly $31 million worth of supplies, including food, as well as 3 million doses of coronavirus vaccine. The Cuban government has begun to vaccinate children as young as 2 years old for COVID-19 in a bid to get kids back into classrooms. Cuba has largely focused on developing its own vaccines rather than depend on other countries for the medications. Local scientists say the Cuban-made vaccines are safe and effective, but so far have provided little data to outside observers. To date, according to the Cuban Health Ministry, over 4 million people have been fully vaccinated. The government has not said how many children have been vaccinated, but said a pediatric vaccination campaign began. The Cuban government also said it hoped to vaccinate over 90% of the population of 11.2 million people before reopening international borders in mid-November. Britain has approved plans to turn away boats illegally carrying migrants to its shores, deepening a rift with France over how to deal with surge of people risking their lives by trying to cross the Channel in small dinghies. Hundreds of small boats have attempted the journey from France to England this year across one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The summer surge happens every year but is now larger than normal as alternative routes have been shut down. Border officials will be trained to force boats away from British waters but will deploy the new tactic only when they deem it safe. Back to the headlines of the world news. China urged Taliban rulers to keep their promises. The Cuban begins to vaccinate children as young as 2 years old in a bid to get kids back into classrooms. UK threatens to send migrant boats back to France. That ends World News. In development news, measures have been taken to increase the contribution of renewable energy sources to the national power grid. Under the scheme, government plans to generate solar power by obtaining the contribution of state-owned buildings, places of worship and houses of the low-income families. It is expected to provide financial benefits to low-income households and to curtail the expenses incurred by the state institutions for electricity from the project. Steps will also be taken to provide facilities to store solar energy in batteries for the low-income families that are unable to access the national power grid. The project also includes generating power by installing floating solar panels. And that was development news.
Sports news.
Sri Lanka cricket is to announce a squad for the upcoming 2020 Cricket World Cup by today. The ICC 2020 World Cup is set to take place in the United Arab Emirates from October 17 to November 14, and the official squad for all teams must be finalised before 10th of September. All-rounder Dasun Shanaka will be the captain and middle-order batsman Dhananjay De Silva will be the vice-captain. Meanwhile, Australia's SBS TV has quoted a Taliban spokesperson as saying that women's sports and women's cricket specifically will be banned by his group in Afghanistan. The deputy head of the Taliban's Cultural Commission has said, as when playing cricket, the girls might face a situation where their face and body will not be covered in line with the Islam law. Therefore, Islam does not allow women to be seen like this. He added, Islam and the Islamic Emirate do not allow women to play cricket or play the kind of sport where they get exposed. That was Sports News.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Expo Lanka Holdings had bought 100% of US-based Complete Transport System LLC through an overseas unit for $6.1 million. The company said Complete Transport System LLC is a company incorporated in the United States offering bonded container freight station and trucking services. It added the acquisition will enable EFL, the global logistics brand of Expo Lanka Holdings PLC, to strengthen and expand its service offering to its customers by providing value-added logistics services. And that was Business News.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, a professional development e-learning platform to all registered tourist guides will be launched to enhance their knowledge and skills. It is launched by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority in collaboration with Sri Lanka Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management. The launch of the continuous professional development e-learning platform took place under the patronage of the Minister of Tourism Prasanna Ranatunga, Secretary of the Ministry S. Hettiarachchi and Sri Lanka Tourism Chairperson Kemali Fernando recently. Sri Lanka Tourism Chairperson Kemali Fernando says tourist guides play an important role in our tourism sector and income generation as they spend a lot of time with visitors from arrival to departure. And that was economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report. Several spells of showers will occur in the Sabragamua and Western provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, and Mathura districts. A few showers will occur in the North-Western province. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places in the Uva and Eastern provinces and in the Mullaitivu and Polonnaruwa districts in the evening or at night. And that was the weather report. Back to the headlines of this news broadcast. The USA ambassador says Lankan economy will bounce back. The Health Ministry decides the new test kit manufactured by the University of Peradeniya to be practiced in Sri Lanka. The central bank decides to halt importation of selected non-essential goods with immediate effect. The Broadcasters Guild of Sri Lanka vehemently condemns the YouTube program over the topic of copyright privileges. The Department of Inland Revenue says grace period for paying income tax extended. The UNICEF reveals school closures have led to alarming inequities in learning opportunities for children. The health minister says that patients dependent on medical oxygen have significantly declined. In foreign news, China urged Taliban rulers to keep their promises. And with that, we end this news broadcast.